Hi warriors, it's Hanne here and welcome back to another video. Today, another Q&A. I know, I normally do these mukbang styles, but I literally just devoured a mug cake right before this video and I'm thinking I'm probably pretty satisfied for now. However, if you want a chance to decide my snack for the next Q&A video, definitely head over to Patreon and leave your suggestions there. I'm also thinking of making a mass gainer smoothie, and if you're interested, drop me a comment with the ingredients that you want to see in that smoothie / milkshake / mass gainer drink. Nothing's off limits, but please do be kind to me. Leave your suggestions at Patreon. I'd love for you all to get involved, and maybe you will be deciding what I'm having for the next Q&A. Anyway, on to today's topic. Why am I constantly thinking about food? Do you spend your whole day thinking about your next meal and planning what you're going to eat? Do you spend hours considering what you're having is too unhealthy, or too high in calories, or too high in fat? Are you unable to get to sleep because you're trying to plan out what your breakfast is going to look like the next day? Yeah, you might be struggling with this very same thing. Personally, it's something that I struggled with throughout my recovery, and trust me, it didn't leave much space in my brain for anything else. It was horrible, but it wasn't necessarily something I could do anything about. It was subconscious. My mind just went back to food every single time, even though I didn't want it to. But I did understand why. I'd restricted for a very long time, and it was quite normal that my thoughts went to food. Like physical, extreme hunger, food-related thought is just a cue that you need more food. You need to eat. You need to put on some weight. And once you do, that's when the thought will disappear. That's when the thought will go. That's when you can start to think about other things other than food. If you are struggling with obsessive food-related thoughts, chances are you're restricting or compensating for eating, and your body wants you to eat properly. It's clearly telling you that it needs the nutrients, it needs the energy in order to function and in order to be able to focus on anything else. Alternatively, you're recovering from a past eating disorder and your body is just healing. It has been through a period of restriction and it's now trying to find its way around the intricacies of eating again and being allowed food. Still potentially scared that another period of starvation is imminent. You've got to prove it wrong. And even as you are gaining weight, even as you are approaching a weight that you might consider to be your target weight, it's possible that you'll still be experiencing these thoughts, and I know I definitely was. For me, even just classifying certain foods as good and bad perpetuated the eating disorder and perpetuated the food-related thought. It's only once I was physically recovered and mentally recovered that the food-related thought finally vanished. So it's something that definitely, well, it's likely to be a big part of your recovery, whether you want it or not. But it does go in the end. I thought a lot about food during my recovery. Initially, because I was scared of it. Then, because I was planning in all the foods that I was suddenly allowed to eat again. Then, to make sure that I was eating enough. And later, as I just continued challenging myself over and over to prevent my fear foods from taking over my life. But nowadays, yeah, I think about food sometimes. I mean, I got to plan what I get for my groceries. I got to plan some meals once in a while, but that's it. I have no idea what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, even though I'll probably be cooking it in about an hour. I have no idea what I'll fancy for breakfast tomorrow. And it's not something I want to worry my pretty mind with. That's the place that you too can get to. and I've got some tips for you today. The first tip is probably the most obvious one. Gain weight. You may have lost weight during your eating disorder, and it's important to regain that weight in order for your body to be in its happy place, to feel safe, and to feel like more and more food is not necessarily a requirement anymore. The food-related thought is literally just your body telling you that you need more food. So gain the weight and listen to these cues. Whenever you experience a food-related thought, eat something. You might not be physically hungry, but then again, your physical hunger cues may be a little messed up at the moment. Your mental hunger cues clearly are on point. So gain the weight and eat. Don't restrict. Next, ditch the black and white thinking. Ditch the diet mindset. As long as you continue seeing food as good or bad, you're going to be planning in your head. You're going to be avoiding certain foods. You're going to be trying to follow a path towards health that really isn't all that healthy because it means holding on to the eating disorder. The most important thing to do in order to get rid of the food obsessive thought is to get rid of the food obsession, the eating disorder. Kick it out once and for all. Challenge yourself to your fear foods regularly until they no longer hold any power over you. Then, try to break those classifications in your head. A cookie isn't necessarily unhealthy, and a salad isn't necessarily healthy. I mean, it all comes down to your mindset, and it's important to see that food is just food. Food is fuel, and sometimes eating that cookie will be the healthier choice. Once your body learns that any food is freely available and nothing is off limits, that's when the cravings will subside. Because there's no need for them anymore. There's no need to be obsessed with a food that's literally right there, available whenever you want it. Next, going to hospital for me also greatly helped me to reduce my food obsessive thought. Just giving up that control and not having to worry about what to eat next was really useful because it allowed me the mind space to think about other things. It gave me a break. And you can try to take a break by going into hospital or even just allowing a friend or a family member to cook your meals. Giving up control, or even planning out your schedule and then not thinking about it anymore. Try to reduce the reasons that you have right now for overthinking. And if you do, the overthinking itself will become less and less frequent. Lastly, and potentially most importantly, deal with the underlying issues. What is causing your restriction? Which emotions are driving it? And what is driving these emotions? Work through any traumas. Work through any difficult feelings and go from there. Then stop using restriction to cope. And next, find out that once you do, the food obsessive thought will go as well, naturally. Anyway, these are just my tips to deal with food obsessive thoughts. If you've got any tips I didn't cover, definitely leave them below because I think sharing them with everyone else is the best way for us all to reach the food freedom we so crave, for the food freedom that we're all after. That's it for this week's video. Be sure to head over to Patreon to decide my next snack, and I will see you guys next week for more content.